Hi, my name is Ollie and welcome to the Hardwood Journals. Today I'm going to be talking through some of the key hardwood species that we have here at Logie Timber and just some of the other options that are out there apart from oak, as it seems like everybody always wants oak. Now, I can understand why everybody wants oak. Its use throughout time exceeds itself. We've used it to build barns, boats, bridges that stand the test of time. But is oak, Scottish oak in particular, really good for our everyday use, such as kitchen tops, bookshelves, and such like that? Obviously, oak is a very tough timber, but is its durability really put to the test for those such uses? Here in Scotland, where it's very wet and windy, the kind of oak that we're producing is quite bad for cracks and for rot. Because as a tree grows, winds blow, cracks open up, and as oak is a very wet timber, it starts to rot quite quickly. Meaning a lot of the timber we get out of these logs isn't always to the best quality that we hold oak to. Seeing as a lot of the time we're seeing oak from Europe and America, where they have amazing forests, forest management of oak to produce some grade A timber. Beech, a really undervalued timber in my point of view, and holds some great figure and character within it that I think you can compare to oak. Sycamore here, although not as common throughout Scotland, it is also very clean timber and often supplies, which is often what carpenters and a lot of people are wanting. And ash, one of my favourites for its incredible figure of its olive heartwood. But what really matters is how these logs hold up once they've been milled. So let's take a trip down to the shop. So here we are at Logie Timber Supplies. Now, before we get started, it is an impossible job to try and compare oak to all these other species. But it is, in my opinion, that some of the qualities of this timber are in a different class to oak. So we're going to start with elm, which really speaks for itself. Was once a very common tree throughout Scotland, but unfortunately due to Dutch elm disease, much rarer now. But we have a strong supply of it up at our mill. It's a beautiful timber, much darker, quite rich brown to mauve at times, with often a quite lighter coloured sapwood, but it's a very strong wood. And for those of you who are woodworkers, you'll know that it is quite a pain to work with at times due to its cross grain. But it's because of this quality that even when it is quite thin, it still holds a lot of strength. You'll find great figure throughout elm. As I mentioned in the previous video, there is some partridge breast figure. There's also great burrs as well, and a range of greens and patterns throughout this timber. So we have sycamore. Now, although I've already said that sycamore is usually very clean timber, this board has got a few knots within it. I will also point out first that this is a book match board. So these are two boards that have been opened up and stuck together. As you can see from the knots, it's actually quite hard to make out the outer rings of these. It's because it's very light coloured wood, and also the light colour of the rings and ring growth makes it quite hard to define that. So for those of you who want a more sterile board, as it were, lighter colour, then sycamore is a very good choice for that. Larger trees though, you can get some difference in the very centre of the timber. Often come out as a nice cherry red. It's quite beautiful compared to the white. But usually, compared to the heartwood and sapwood, there's not much difference in colour. When it comes to wear and tear, sycamore is ever slightly softer than most of these other species, but it's not really something that's going to be through heavy wear and tear that you'll notice that wear. So here we have ash, one of my favourites. We'll soon have quite a lot of this coming in through the mill, just due to ash dieback sweeping across the UK and killing a lot of the trees, which is very sad. Its timber is lovely. You can see through its growth rings and the grain, it's very even, in uniform due to the even better years of spring and summer growth, which also makes it quite hard wearing as well. Ash's been used for centuries, even before we were using oak for tool handles and weapon handles. The colour of ash is known to a much lighter timber, as you can see, though the hardwood can be a lot darker, especially when you get an olive hardwood. It's one of my favourite figures within ash. There's a little bit of it here, you can see. Comes through as, funny enough, olive wood kind of colour and pattern. Because of all this, ash takes to stain really well. So if you don't particularly want a light colour timber, but like the grain of figure, then putting like an oak stain on it perhaps will work very well. Ash is also very forgiving and lovely to work with, whether you're doing a bit of home DIY or even just putting it all together in place. It's very forgiving and easy to work with. Here we have beech. Now I have done another video on beech already. I mentioned in that you'll find beech throughout the home. Most often they're using beech that has been brought over from Europe. I find it's quite light in colour. Even in its raw form, it is quite light. But once you get a oil on this, it really brings through a rich gold colour. I find it's much similar to oak. Similar figure that you'll find in beech that you can find in oak as well are its medullary rays. Oak is very famous for its large expanse of medullary rays and its quarter sawn. Beech has the same figure, just slightly smaller. It's one of my favourite little features that you'll find in beech. One of the good things about beech is that you can get larger trees here in Scotland, and in the larger trees there's less defects in. I mean, you can see throughout this board here, this tabletop, we've got a few cracks, a few dead knots, but it's rather minimal. With oak, as I've already mentioned, in Scotland you get far more defects throughout the tree, especially your size of this, much larger cracks, which is good. So there's more of it. And also beech is slightly cheaper as well, which is always a win. One of the key points to note with beech compared to oak is the fact that beech is technically harder. So on the Janka hardness scale, it writes about 6,500 to 700, whereas on the Janka hardness, oak is about 5,000 to 6,500. So taking dents wise and general wear and tear, it will stand longer than oak, particularly for flooring even. Where oak is recognised as being a stronger wood is because of high tannin content. So being exposed to the elements outside, nothing really beats oak. But indoors, ash will last you just that a little bit longer. I've only really touched the surface on some of the qualities of these other amazing timbers that we have in Scotland and that we have here at Logie Timber. Although in many ways they don't hold a flame to oak, for your tables, for your kitchen tops, for your shelves, for your everyday life, they'll do an amazing job and bring something to your home. So I hope when you're considering what wood to use for your next project or next feature in the home, that you won't immediately jump to oak and think about some other great species that we have.